You know it's time to start a video when the neighbor fires up his lawnmower. Anyway, hey guys, Doug here again. Beautiful fall day. That said, we've seen snow this week, so what a great reminder that winter's coming, and winter's coming quick, and we need to have some wood in place to whittle away those winter nights. Today's video is just going to be an overview of different types of wood that I carve. Most of you know my preference in carving wood, but it's a real common question, so I've got laid out some different types, so let's just go in, kind of go over them, talk about them, why I use some over others, and what I prefer. So let's just head in and get cracking. All I did here is I just gathered up a bunch of different woods here. I'm just kind of going to go through and talk about them, and we'll end it with my favorite. But you know, in the beginning, I used to be real anti-hardwood. Now, let's back up a little bit. There's hardwoods that are soft, and there's softwoods that are hard, and we're not going to get into that. But my favorite wood is a hardwood, but it's soft. So let's not don't start typing yet, because I know how it is. But we're just going to go through some woods here, and I used to be anti-hardwood carving. Like hardwood, what I mean by that is like the oaks and the maples and whatnot. But I've kind of lightened up a little bit on that. I think, to me, for the carving, I want to carve fast. I want to finish a project that I start. And you know, the difference between a piece of walnut and a piece of pine is, you know, about 5 hours. Pine would be so much faster than a piece of walnut. But that said, let's just start right here with walnut. What we're looking for in wood is the less grain that you can get, and nice and tight. You don't want it real grainy, and we'll talk about that more with the oak. But walnut is it's a beautiful wood, dark, and it carves up well. But when you're hogging out big chunks, it tends to split. So it'd be good for a more of a cutout type wood, but it will carve, you know. You see these cuts here? It's almost like the end grain. It's a polished cut. Like, look at the shine on these cuts. Extra hard on your knife, but if you can see that, you can just see the shine on those cuts on that wood. Eh? So walnut's an option. I know some people that make beautiful things out of walnut, all the hardwoods, but I also know people that will spend, you know, 15 to 20 hours on one carving, and that's too much for me. But unless it's a simple little ornament thing or whatever, I would avoid it. Then we've got our, I guess that'd be red oak. Red oak is it's a grainy wood, but again, it'll carve. To me, it seems to splinter more, but it does hold the detail, and it's what these hardwoods are really good for. They will hold detail like no other wood. But oak, not my favorite. Hickory, forget about it. Maple branches. Right away, when we're talking branches, all woods, when they're green, carve really nice. The problem is how they dry, and you can already see this is a fairly fresh cut, and see from that pith up to the it's already cracking. So that's the problem when you're carving greenwood. It's easy to carve and a lot quicker to carve, but how it dries is always the gamble. Okay, but back to the maple. Maple again, very hard wood when it's dry, and again, great to hold detail. But that's what I've always avoided these hardwoods. They're just brutal. They're brutal on your knife. In fact, a lot of the guys that I see carving oak and maples and walnuts are going to the moor just for that stronger blade, and you just put more oomph behind it. Now we're moving into, I think they're cousins. I think tulip and poplar. All right. Again, real nice, clear, not heavily grained, but Also carves fairly nice. Easier than the oak and the walnut for sure. Like, it's a real nice. And that's poplar. You can see it's got a nice shine on the cut, but it's a lot easier to cut. And the same with the tulip. This one's here a little bit green, but almost the exact same cut as the poplar. Like I said, they're cousins anyway. So these two in my books are they're doable. Not the best, but doable. This is cherry. Now, I don't know about all cherry, but I know that this cherry that I've been using and carve this little guy out of, I keep him handy so that when I think about carving cherry again, I look at that guy and I remember, and my tennis elbow thinks about it too. It's like, I don't ever want to carve out of this cherry again. This is like a rock. But again, it all depends on what you want to do. If you want to sit there and take just little cuts and really spend your time on carving, man, like, hardwood holds detail like no other wood will. You don't get the splintering that you normally would. You don't get pulls or tears or anything. It's just hardwood, but you're only cutting little. You're not taking chunks of wood off. You're just taking little slices and bits off. So again, I can only tell you my experience, and I'm still not a fan of all these hardwoods. And that's what we're moving into now. The better woods for carving, in my opinion. Your opinion may vary, and that's just fine. Moving over into one of my preferred woods is cedar. Now, you've seen me go at this cedar log with the wood spirit face when it was green and dry. It still carves nice. This is a hydro pole. I got some hydro pole lengths out there that I cut up, and again, good wood to carve. And this is your everyday hardware store 6x6, like decking. And as you can see, again, nice wood to carve. Has a bit of a color to it, but the smell is amazing. So I would put the cedar up there in my book of nice woods to carve. Real nice wood. Holds your cuts well, and like I said, smells fantastic. While I'm here though, birch. Birch is a real favorite for kuksa and spoon carvers, and when you carve it green, it's kind of like carving a potato, kind of like a poplar would be. But when it's dry, it's hard stuff as well. Carvable. I've carved a few figures with birch, but again, the trick is you get rid of the pith. Use a side of the wood only. Don't ever include the center if you can help it. And it shouldn't crack as much, but it still may crack. This is butternut. Butternut is the nice cousin of the walnut. Butternut just carves like a dream. It is a beautiful carving wood. Look at that. Cuts like nothing. Now, it goes in the face of what I said in the beginning, that we wanted a wood that wasn't super grainy. Butternut is grainy. So sometimes your people will reflect a lot of grain, and even the paint doesn't really look too good if it's a really watered down paint. But it's great for other kinds of carving, if depending what you do, birds or objects or whatever. But butternut is a great wood, but unfortunately, I'm in Canada. Butternut is protected, and I was given this piece, but yeah, you're not to cut butternut trees. So you can still buy it. I see in the States, and a lot of carving places sell butternut, but in Canada it's a rarity. But that's a nice looking wood. Carves up so nice. But what we can get by the truckload though is pine. You've seen me whittle away many a pine branch on outings, canoe trips and whatnot. Pine is a great wood to carve. Now, pine knots are not good to carve unless you got some kind of a machine. So avoid the pine knots. They are so hard. Like I said before, you saw I rolled a knife on a pine knot on one of my last trips, and yeah, it can be nasty. So a nice clear branch of pine though is fantastic. But if you go to your local lumber yard and go into the trim department, you can buy pine, whether it be in you know, like 2x8s or even barn board. This is a little cube of barn board that I cut up, and really, like, this is what I started carving with before I got basswood. I just took a piece of barn board like that, ripped it up into little pieces, little inch by inch pieces, and man, it carves like a dream. Real good wood, very light to carve, and as you can see, it's just it's good stuff. Kevin Coates, if you follow him on YouTube. If you don't, you should. But he uses a lot of pine for his carving, and it works great for him. So again, I even have some pine hydro poles out there too. So not the framing lumber, that's always spruce. Always look to the trim department, and you can get some nice clear pine and carves like a dream. But all that aside, my number one wood is, you know it, basswood. Basswood is probably the number one choice for carving, as far as I know, across the world. Now, it's also, I think it might be lime, definitely it's linden, so they're all the same woods, but this is basswood. And the limb, same thing here. I have a fella, well, I'll show you right now. I've got a stack of logs out in my laneway. Fella down the one county over. I don't have a lot of basswood right in my immediate area, but just a county over, it grows like weeds there. So I get the logs, and I'll just mill them up myself after I let them dry for a couple of years. But you can buy big chunks like this. They also sell basswood eggs. All the carving stores carry little eggs, and you can do little carvings with the eggs. But number one choice of wood, basswood by far. I buy my wood at the local sawmill. I mill my own, but I go to you know, most, again, carving stores will sell basswood. But carving shows, this wood here, this is the best I've ever gotten. I got it down in the States, and one piece like this, I think I paid $1.75, which is fair, more than fair. And how many hours is that going to keep me busy? Just one little stick like that. And I'll probably cut that up into three pieces and make 3 little men. So pretty cheap hobby. Some are better than others. A lot of guys ask me if there's a way to soften it. Sometimes you get a hard piece, but I've never really tried any of those solutions of mixes that you would spray on to soften it. I just power through it and hope the next piece is better. But anyway, so 99.9% of my carving is going to be done in basswood, and it's just the best wood for carving, second to pine. So what I want to do now is I want to turn it back on you. This is YouTube. We're global, and these are things that are available to me where I am here in Canada, but your experiences may vary, and I know they do, because I get a lot of guys saying I'm from Australia or I'm from where Romania. We got the whole world here. So I'm going to turn it back on you to use the comment section and tell me what your favorite wood is, where you get your wood, or your basswood even in the States. I know there's a few names that really stand out, like I think Moore and Heineke. But if you could tell each other and have a little community chat down in the comments about where you get your wood and what country you're from and what wood you prefer to carve, and help each other out, because I can only do so much. I can tell you all about the wonderful things of basswood, but if it's not available to you and your neighbor knows of something better, then why don't you just share it in the comments and help each other out. What more can I say? Help each other out and share your own experiences with each other, and yeah, we'll have our own little community chat in the comments. Alright, so that's about it for this video. I know it's a little bit all over the place, and but I can only share what I know and what I have available, and going forward we're moving into safety and cuts. So I will see you guys on the next video, and be sure to help each other out in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.